I'm not going to say I didn't have good teachers. I think it was more similar to you, where they didn't really inspire me to have a passion for the instrument. There was a very big gap between what I was interested in and why I wanted to play it, more so the guitar than the piano, compared to like what I was getting taught. And at the time, like I was a super like ADHD kid where if I wasn't interested in something, there was no way of trying to get me to do that. Same as school, same as like other things. I just did shit that I liked to do, and that was it.
Right.
So in hindsight, I wish I learned an instrument, because now I'm surrounded by people like yourself, CN, John O'Struan, who are all like very talented in their field in music or sound, right? And now I'm feeling left out. I'm like, shit, I should know a bit more about this. So
Well, comparison is a thief of joy in a way, in a sense.
True.
And yeah, don't deprive yourself of that. I mean, you may have had some kind of basics along the way, but also you have to consider. It's like comparing yourself to your, let's say, sparring teacher or training teacher, like PT, right? Those guys do it 5 days a week, or maybe sometimes 7 days a week, every day, you know, for multiple hours. It's not going to be on the same level.
Sure. I don't want to achieve the same level, but I want to be like part of the conversation a bit. Right. Like I can only go like this sort of the shallow end up to my waist. And then as soon as people start talking about like, you know, different wavelengths and like, let's add this really muddy synth in the background there on the left hand, I'm like, man, I have no idea.
Guys, I know about Circle of Fifths.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Exactly. But I would say this, like, I'm a huge fan of music, super diverse range of music. So I can like understand like the different crossover of genres and understand why genres are genres, and I like nerding out over the history of them and like potentially where it's going in the future. That part I like to think I have quite a good eye for, right? In terms of the practicality of like producing it or actually playing it and like taking that idea and like making it into reality, I'm not so sure on. That's where I think you guys are a lot like more better. You can take your idea of what you like, and in your head, you're probably lying at night thinking of boat sounds, and you're like, I know how I'm gonna do it. And you can go and put that into like reality, right?
There's a lot of shower eureka moments.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Definitely.
But also lots of shower like depressing moments as well, right?
Yeah.
Like sitting there like, fuck, that wasn't the sound that I wanted. I just spent 5 hours in the baking sun. It just didn't sound good.
I mean, it's good to have different backgrounds on these kinds of things, especially if you just have an interest in something.
Yes.
Because it gives you a different perspective. For example, a lot of musicians and artists, they're terrible at business.
Yes.
They don't know how to sell themselves. Or even if they do, you know, they're very wanted and demanded. They don't know how to go about it, and maybe they go ahead and start making mistakes along the way. And especially with the music industry that it is, let's say from the 80s until now, it's gotten so cutthroat.
Yes.
You really need somebody on your side to tell you what's what.
I think it's like the boredom definitely comes into it, because like business is very boring, I think. Necessary, but very, very boring. I also think though that it comes down to like that old like adage of jack of all trades but master of none. I feel like most artists focus so much on the art and creating beautiful shit that they don't have time to do something boring, like look into the business side of it. Because if they did that, they were going to take some like of their resources in terms of energy and time away from doing cool shit and doing like boring shit.
Yeah.
So
but also, do you know the end of the phrase? Okay, this is probably could be an interesting topic. I don't know. I like it. Jack of all trades but master of none. And I'm going to paraphrase, but most often than not, better than none.
Okay, I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
So it kind of gives the value back to the being
Good.
Jack of all trades.
I like that. I like that, because I feel like I am more so a jack of all trades than a master of one specific thing. And I always hated that, but that made me feel a little bit better.
It's like me at the party, you know, I have nothing to say to people like, man, if you just start talking about sample rates to me, you know, we can party now.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, maybe being jack of all trades is better sometimes.
I think this comes down to like what you said. Like you need to have someone, if you want to create something like art or something long lasting like a business, you need like a solid team behind you. Someone who is good at the art of things, someone that's good at like logistics, someone that is good at just like overseeing it. As much as I hate like managers or like overseers, I think their job nowadays, in my opinion, is like way, way overrated and overpaid. Really, they should just be like the glue between everything to make sure that like, hey, this is our team. I'm not above this team. I am just in the middle here to make sure everyone is doing their functions and that's it. And then within that, you can then create your dream, your envision, your business strategy, and whatever. Yeah, that's what I really like about what we've got. A few friends, Jono and Struan, like they want to make this like kind of, it's like a multimedia company. It's kind of like a weird, vapid like description of what it is. You should talk to Struan about it because like he's way better at explaining it. But it's like they're a group of people with a similar interest in music, and they also have friends who work with who have a similar vision, who work on shooting music videos for like rappers and like other artists. And Struan is a very, very talented like artistic / creative director. And then you've got the musicians in the group, then you've got like the video side of it, and all of that working together. It's not so much about the money. The money is there in order to like finance the dream. It's not like, hey, let's jump in here. Like, what was it, cash and dump they do with like the cryptocurrencies? Where like, let's just all get in here, big it up, and
pump
then
and dump?
Pump and dump, yeah.
Right.
It's not something like that. It's like people are coming together and taking it seriously in terms of everyone works hard to do their different roles to create beautiful shit. And that's something I want on a fucking t-shirt, is that their goal literally is just to create beautiful shit. And I'm like, you know what? That's like so rare to find nowadays, where it's like people are doing it not just for the financial benefit, it's to actually create something beautiful. Have you heard Kanye West's new song?
No. So I am terrible at following that.
Okay, cool. Well, I will not say it on this podcast because it'll definitely get cancelled. But once we change around the cameras and stuff, I will tell you. But it's, I'm not going to say the name or anything, but he released it a couple of days ago, and it comes down to like what the fuck is he doing now? Like,
Is it his latest tweets related?
No, it's a song with like, you know, the whole kind of arc he's going on now, following yeah. It's just going very deep on that arc, and you're kind of sitting there like, all right, let's calm it down. Is it a meme now to try and promote the album, or is it like you genuinely believe this stuff? Or, in my opinion, I think that this is someone with difficulty realizing reality that everyone lives in, and he's like kind of like, he's not all there. Like, he's very creative, but maybe socially he's like kind of stupid, and then people are just trying to make money from it. He's got like a management team that's like,
I mean, yeah, for sure, there's plenty of people that are going to use that for their own gains.
Yeah, it's like a circus, right?
But I mean, regardless of anyone's opinion about him, he's not the kind of person that would like easily back away from his ideals. Like, what do they call them? Key opinion leader. You know, KOL, right? You know, if he says something is this way, he's gonna stick to it until it crashes and burns, regardless of his input.
Yeah, I think it comes down as well, like what I was saying about having that really like lubricated team that works well together, right? Like, you have like the overseer, or like, you know, you have the logistics person or whatever, right? A good team is everyone works together and you don't exploit anyone. With Kanye West, the way I see it is that it's a team built around exploiting one person. It's like, oh shit, he's saying some crazy stuff right now and he's getting lots of attention for it. Let's just throw all of our money into that and then take a cut from the future. Regardless of what he says, regardless of who he damages or like who he insults, like, let's just do that. What do you think about AI in games? That was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Because like, coming from my perspective, like music and like movies, obviously for movies, like especially in China, the next flow is going to be just for the smaller budget ones, and like for advertisement, TVCs, they're just going to buy your rights to your likeliness and also your voice, and then they'll just AI you and just get you to say whatever you want, right? For movies and stuff, it's obviously script writing, and obviously, I guess you can't really say about like background, that's more like virtual reality. But in terms of like script writing, that's obviously taken over. For music, it's incredible what you can do nowadays in terms of like, write me a song in the style of, I was going to say Kanye West, but probably no one's doing that now, but write me a song in like Sabrina Carpenter and make it like a catchy jingle with jazz. And then there you go, within 5 minutes, you've got something you can work on and you can send to a client within a day. So for like video games, how do you think that's going to work?
There's a lot of, I guess, gray areas, or some of them are black and white. You know, as I understand it, the industry is still going through a strike, voice actors specifically. So the companies want to change a lot of contracts, basically saying, once you do this thing for us and we pay you your whatever fee it is, we can use your voice to further reproduce works, like you make derivatives, blah, blah, blah. And so naturally, it made a lot of people unhappy.
Sure.
Which I completely agree with. I think it's a shitty move, because you should be paid for the time that you do, unless you license your. You've seen the movie The Creator?
Yes.
Some people license their likeness to the AIs or to the machines, right?
Sure.
If that's an option, like if the company will tell you, hey, we're gonna pay you like a 2 million fee from now on going forward to use your likeness, fine. But if that's not the case, then I think those kinds of things should be off the table.
Sure.
In terms of game development itself, there are already uses for AI to make things faster. And it can be, how do I describe it to non-game people? Basically, you create a set of rules and you assign different assets to each other. So like say that this is audio assets should belong to these 3D assets, and the other way around, like these 3D assets should stand near the door and these assets should be like somewhere in the center of the room, this kind of stuff. And then you say like, okay, now generate me like 5 rooms that are connected to each other with these rules in place.
Sure.
That's possible now.
Yeah, because that's what I'm more interested in, right? Is that an actual like design, like kind of similar to what you said. If you create an asset for a character, right? Or your asset was the character design, and then you asked AI to develop like 50 different similar but not so similar profiles of that asset. Is that something that people can do?
Yes, I believe so. I think most of it is still in development or very proprietary kind of tech. But it's already been used, and I think it's a good thing.
Sure.
It speeds up the workflow so much. And, people say like, oh, well, companies will just be lazy and asset flip all this stuff and create like these lazy levels. Yeah. I mean, so is writing an essay in ChatGPT, but then you have to make it yours.
Yes.
So the bar for quality has raised for everyone. The accessibility has lowered, but the quality has raised. So now you have to have actual 3D people coming in and be like, okay, well, now we have to play with the lighting and the actual set design and all this kind of stuff. So that's really cool. And if that technology becomes more available, that'll make my life a lot easier as well. So hell yeah, let's do it. Then I have more time to. So from the perspective of let's say the sound designer, if I don't have to spend hours assigning audio boxes to the rooms and say like, hey, this room should have small reverb, this room should be really roomy and boomy, and then we want like the sound of the street bleeding through these windows, and when you walk past the windows you should be able to hear them. Like if I can cut all of that away and say like, okay, you know what, now that we saved so much time and money, why don't I use that time to go record our own proprietary sounds, and we have more time for prototyping. And
it frees up so much more time for you to be more creative on things.
Exactly.
That matter, right?
It frees up more time for us to be more creative, whilst the rest of the tedious work is kind of already done.
I guess it sounds very similar to like these other industries that I mentioned, where you're kind of at this stage of like learning stage of like, all right, we've got this incredible tool, AI, but how the fuck do we use it? And how do we use it in like a kind of ethical way? You can use it. It's just a tool, right? It's like, how do we use it to help us, but not just cut the complete budget out of everybody and make sort of the people who create it miserable in terms of like, obviously it'll make your life easier, but then what about all the voice actors? Suddenly you'll have no voice actors. You'll have no one wanting to do it, because why would I license for you an unlimited amount of time for my voice?
Actually, we had that. We had the situation already where we say, hey, we need extra voice lines for this character. And the voice actor said, sorry guys, I'm fully booked. It's going to have to be like 2 weeks. Like, we don't have 2 weeks. We need it like yesterday. So we asked him like, hey, can we use AI to recreate your lines? And he's like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I don't know the ins and outs. I wasn't part of that particular project, but I just know it happened. I don't know if we paid him an extra fee, but he was like, yeah, no problem.
And it's the same thing for like music, right? If I'm licensing you a song, right? It's like, here's a fee, and that fee is going to cover 1 year. But then if I use that beyond 1 year, I have to come back to you and confirm, and then we renegotiate a fee.
Sure.
But like, it's craziness, like for example, in like movies, right? And I work for some companies that shall not be named, that pretty much just say, here is this contract that you're forced to sign if you want a job, and we can basically license we have the rights to your image for infinite amount of time, and your voice, right? And that there is craziness, because basically what they can do is, like, after 5 shoots, if they have the technology, they just no longer need me, and they can make me say random crazy shit, right? That doesn't make sense. Like, what it should be like is like, okay, cool, we're gonna do this shoot, you're gonna get a flat out fee of however many RMB per hour, and then we can use that for a year. After a year, we can then come back to you and renegotiate the licensing contract, and everything that we make you say, you can then confirm it or not, because you don't want to damage your image.
I understand you lived in some interesting places around the world. Where was it, and what's the experience like?
I lived in Congo for like 5.5 months. So Democratic Republic of Congo, not the Congo country.
How was it?
It was good, man. Actually, one of my favorite experiences over the past couple of years, mainly because that it had the good balance of adrenaline and sense of adventure, but also kind of like this depressing view of the world that's outside of what we're used to, right? Like,
How so?
well, just a bit of background. I used to work as a commodities trader, and the company I used to work for owns a mine in Congo, right? And this was during the time of the pandemic, right? And they needed someone to go to Congo, and not lots of people want to go to the Congo, right? For obvious reasons. So I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I like putting myself in kind of crazy situations, and I nominated myself, went there, lived there for 5 months on a mine site. So landed in Lubumbashi, which is like a city in the southern part of Congo, and flew for like 4 hours to the mine site. And it's just in the middle of like kind of like scrubland. It's not like jungle. It's
Was it like a commercial flight or
private jet.
private
Like,
jet at the end?
Everyone down there.
By saying jet, you mean like private jet, like the fancy
jet.
stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Okay. So not
Are we
fancy.
talking like
a
a
private, like commercial passenger
Just
liner.
a small,
It's owned by this company.
Okay,
Right.
yeah,
Because basically what it is that to get from the mine site to any of the big cities either takes too long or is dangerous.
Right.
So what they said was, like, every
just
week
fly
we've
you.
got twice a week this commercial jet just flies to this mine site, right? Because you've got, there was something like, I want to say like 700, 800 employees. No, sorry, I lie. There's close to 1,500 people working on the mine site. The majority of them were local Congolese. The other one were Chinese. And you've just got twice a week this commercial.
Was it a
jet
Chinese
flies.
investment?
Chinese owned mine, yes.
When you say dangerous to travel by road, how dangerous are we talking about?
It varies. The volatility is the thing that makes it dangerous.
What's the main concern?
I think
Military
stopping you, kind of
or
taking
the other factors?
I think at the time when I was there, so there's like, I'm not even going to say a civil war, but there's an internal war going on in DRC right now. That is like not quite far, but far enough away that it doesn't really affect the day-to-day operations of what you do, right? But that can bleed and it can change like that.
Yep, sure.
Right? But I would say the main risk is just getting robbed by gunpoint. And this is not like if you're in the UK and someone robs you, you're just like, yeah, okay, take my money. If you like die down there, then no one's going to come and like, no one's going to come and like save you.
There's
or
no
like
ambulance. There's no, yeah.
It's just like, that's what it is. So I feel like it's more so the sense of you're going to get scammed and you're going to get robbed at any point that you can, right?
Interesting.
And it's pretty much that's what it is. It's very much like okay, let me rephrase. On first appearances, it's like the Wild West. But the longer I was there and I understood the culture, it's actually just pretty much like any other place.
Like you learn the flow, right?
Yes. The majority of people there are just trying to work and make money. Really, really nice, really down to earth. They just want to look after their families, right? And I made loads of good friends there of like local people that work on the mine site. They take me home and we'd all eat together with their family, right? But the problem is that you also have, like in most cultures, people that are not so well off. They don't have a sense of community around them. And the easy way or the only way for them to make money is to commit crimes.
Take what's yours.
Yes. The problem is that if you want to do that, you can do it. No one's going to really stop you. Right? So it's just about who you kind of run into at the time. And
So you were allowed off-site?
the mine site was like 45 square kilometers. So that's the same, roughly around the same size, a little bit smaller than like central Shanghai, right? Just one big mine site. And how that works is you just have a barbed wire fence, 45 kilometers wide, and you've got guard points with like, you know, semi-automatic rifles.
Yeah.
You can go in, you show your passport, you show your ID, I work here, you go in, and then it's not quite paradise, but it's like you can just walk around, you do what you want. There's like a pool, there's like a gym that you can work. It's the difference between going outside of the fence and inside of the fence is crazy.
How often you go outside?
At first, they wouldn't let me outside. They said it's too dangerous. All the Chinese employees said it's too dangerous,
Right.
and they don't go outside. They treated it as like, you know, the I don't know, like outside the gates of Rome when the barbarians are like, you don't go outside or something terrible is going to happen to you. And then I had to visit a few mines to like buy some material from them, and you're given a driver and like a convoy that had, you know, basically so you can go around and you're not going to get fucked with. Then you start to realize that as soon as you start doing that, everyone realizes that you're a person of importance, even though I was not important. So then they're more likely to stop you and bribe you from all the, like the police will stop you and just extort you. So I started to realize, like, if I just went out with the driver,
Inconspicuously, right?
shout out Joseph, he was the fucking man. Shout out this driver that I made friends with, Joseph. And I was just saying to him, like, dude, like, we used to get like $120 every day that we had to go outside the mine site. And that was your kitty for bribes to the policeman. So every day I was like, listen, Joseph, like, this is kind of fucking crazy. Like, why are we spending this much money on it? And he was like, it's because you've got these armed guards around you and you've got one car in front of you, one car behind you. If you just went out with me in my car, then you're not going to get stopped. If a policeman stops you, you'll just say that you're like a lowly mine worker and, you know, you'll work something out. So what I did was we ended up just me and Joseph going out to all these different mine sites. I bought a shit ton of cigarettes and I just kept in my pockets. And whenever we got stopped by police, I'd be like, they speak French, right? And I can speak a bit of French. And I was just saying to them, like, I don't have any money. Here's fucking 3 packs of Chinese cigarettes. And they're like, oh shit, cool. And that's it.
Yeah.
So
Off you go.
cheap bribes.
Yeah.
But I think that in answer to a question, dangerous, it's definitely the most on edge I've felt in terms of your adrenaline and like all of your senses have to be going at all times.
Yeah.
You cannot be lulled into a sense of false sense of security.
You're not going to cross the road watching your iPhone.
No,
right?
no. But I feel like that also gives it a very bad representation, right? The only reason I'm saying that is because the majority of the people there are just like you and me.
Yeah.
But the minority of people will fuck you over and will rob you and will kill you and do explicable things to you. But the problem is that the repercussions of the minority of people doing that is zero. So you always have to be on edge in case that minority of people does that to you.
Right. So
Congo, for me, I would go back in a heartbeat. I love that place. I love the people there. They're some of the most like authentic people ever. They don't like, they're rude to you because they don't like you. But when they like you, like, that's your homeboy. That's your homegirl.
There's no second angle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you're going to have like some people like wanting money off you or just using you for money. But you get that in China. You get that in Scotland.
I had somebody ask me that on my trip to Mexico. You know, he's saying like, are you a Yankee? I'm like, no, I'm Russian. He's like, I don't believe you. I'm like, I don't know, man. Do I show you my passport? He's like, no need, blah, blah, blah. You know, we make a few jokes, whatever, back and forth. And then at some point he just leans in. He's like, hey, you want to buy me a drink? I'm like, not really.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
I'm just like, I just tried to put on my best Eastern European face. I'm like, no. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, just,
And he just kind of left me alone. But I was just like, dude, like you have this idea that I'm a foreigner and I have money. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's really not the case.
I don't know, man. Like it's just chancers, right? Like it's in what culture or in what place would you do that? Like would another Mexican go to another Mexican just be like, hey, randomly buy me a drink?
I don't think so.
No.
It would be like, let me buy you a drink because you're fun. Here's the thing that I learned in Mexico. So I have a newfound appreciation for Chinese culture.
Okay.
You know how whenever you meet somebody, it's not even your client, it's like a friend and you're having a good time and they say like, oh, hey, don't worry, I'll buy this dinner. Like this dinner's on me. Like,
Yeah.
no worries. Or this, not even the round, like these all drinks throughout the night were on me. You're like, oh, okay. And I guess like I have to invite you over next time, right? That doesn't happen in Mexico.
Okay.
Everybody pays exactly what they ordered.
Huh. So, okay.
They'd be like, let's say you ordered a salad and a water and I had 2 mojitos and a burger.
You just split it all at the end.
We're not going to pay 50-50. You're going to pay exactly for your salad and water.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay for my burger and 2 mojitos.
Oh, that's a fucking pain in the ass, man.
And the amount of conversations I was sitting there listening to, like, oh, I owe you 300, blah, blah, blah. I owe you 250. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, guys.
But these are all friends, right? This is not just random
Yes.
people. Oh, that's
Yes.
insane. That's crazy to me.
It's just the culture, I guess.
Yeah. But especially if in Mexico,
I'm not saying there's nobody ever treats you to anything. No, it does
No, no,
happen.
no. Yeah,
but
I get
on
you.
a normal, from what I've seen in 3 weeks, it's like, oh, you guys do that? All right. I really miss my Chinese friends paying for everything and then me just taking them out.
Yeah, yeah.
It just simplifies the whole thing.
yeah, that's a logistical nightmare.
Dude, another slight appreciation for China. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a government mandate or something like that. You know, usually how you go to the airport, things are more expensive, right? Like
Yeah.
2-3 times more expensive. That was the case in Mexico as well. It was like, whoa, these prices, wow. I'll walk into Lawson or Family Mart in Beijing Airport and I go to buy 4 bottles of water, 8 kwai.
Amazing.
There were 2 kwai each for Nongfu Spring, like, you know.
Yeah, the standard, right?
I'm like, what? That's even cheaper than in Lawson down the street. Why is it cheaper in the airport? I guess they just made travel more accessible to everybody.
Yeah, and I guess like Lawson's, are they allowed to like pump up the price even if it's in the airport, or do they have to try and keep it the same?
I think it was like a government thing, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a trade-free zone, like tax-free zone,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and we have many people of different backgrounds passing through here. Don't jack up your prices just because it's an airport.
Smart.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question for you, industry doctor.
Industry doctor, let's go.
I don't know if this would be like a. All right, let me think. How many bars do you go around Shanghai?
Not as much anymore. I'm a taken man.
Okay.
But still quite a few here and there. Like, yeah, maybe let's say 4 or 5 bars.
Basically, my question was going to be, how would you fix the sort of cocktail bar-esque scene in general? But I don't know if you like it or if you don't like it. So I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out first.
I like the variety that's available.
Okay.
The owners or the investors, whatever the hell it is, you know, they're like, we want this style, we want different cuisines and flavors. The choices in Shanghai are great. I love that. Very international. But whoever your head bartender is or bar manager, whatever's going on with their sweet and sour balance preference, that needs to get fixed. Needs
sweet?
to get fixed ASAP. It's either too sweet or too sour. Never perfect. It's like, wait, hey, have you ever seen like a classic cocktail book? 25 milligrams of, 25 milliliters of lime juice or lemon juice, 25 milliliters of sugar. It's 1-to-1. It's very simple. Jesus Christ, don't overcomplicate it. But every time I order some drink and it's like, this is too sour. This is too sweet. This is watery as hell.
What's your favorite thing about China? How long have you been here?
Oh, I've been in China now. This is my year number 6.
Damn. Okay.
Starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you say your...
I don't count the first 2 years, to be honest. I was
Why?
working my ass off. It was COVID. You couldn't leave. You couldn't go anywhere. So I just classed my first 2 years in China was just
Write off.
Yeah, complete write-off.
Okay. How would you
So-
say, minus the pandemic side of things, how would you say your life has changed before when you worked? Was it a Chinese company you worked for?
Yeah.
Okay, this is something I can kind of relate to then. Tell me about your transition from working for a Chinese company as a foreigner to now working kind of for yourself?
It's a lot quieter.
Okay. In what way? Like in business wise, or like in like you have more time for yourself, or what?
Environmentally, it's a lot quieter.
Okay.
I come from the audio industry, of course, and basically, in majority of Chinese companies, to have an audio department that's separate from the main working floor is non-existent. Here's your pair of headphones. Enjoy being surrounded by 25 people having conversations
That's
on a
crazy.
daily basis.
But how are you recording audio then?
You don't.
So how do you get the audio? That's crazy. You have to go out in the field.
They get the libraries.
Damn. That's
Unless
insane.
you work for a big studio, really, really big studio. It's just...
But did you feel like you learned a lot?
For me to say, hey, boss, I know I found this great place. We're going to record this amazing forest. It's not too far from Shanghai. Let's say Moganshan. It's going to be a 3-hour drive. I'm going to go there. I'm going to record for 2 days straight. I'm going to record your squirrels and birds and trees creaking and thunderstorm. There's a thunderstorm coming. We're going to record all of that. We're going to put that in the game. For me to say that, hey, can I have the 2-3 days off to do that? He'd be like, no. We have that in the library.
So it's less about creativity. It's more about like efficiency, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But now would you say you're rearing more towards like creativity as
The
well?
whole goal, yes. Sorry, I don't know how else to describe it. The whole goal is not to be like the production house that can do everything, and I'm gonna support these big teams with my audio skills. The goal is to make as much creative stuff as possible to be in the niche. Like, hey, we need some weird stuff.
What do you classify as weird? I saw a bucket in your studio the other day. Where does that come into play?
Yeah. I was making cannonball splashes, and I needed the bubbles for the after effect.
Okay. Nice. I always think it's super interesting. Every time I walk past the studio, there's always like wild shit going on and like crazy sounds. And I've also seen you before, and you've told stories before of you like on boats, like doing anything to try and capture that specific sound. So yeah, you always appreciate, whether it's like musicians or someone who goes like really hard into that certain industry to try and get like a really niche thing is very cool to me.
Bad time to discover that you get seasick by being stuck on a 3-hour boat ride.
But you went for the glory, mate. You got this.
went
Did
for
you get
the
the
glory.
sound?
I did.
There you go.
I did. Yeah. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Nice.
Do you have any weird like bad work experiences where you're like stuck there, but oh man, I have to soldier on?
I mean, not as exciting as yours, but I feel like just working like 15 hours in an office or working hungover as fuck after like 2 hours sleep in like a meeting where I have to be like super switched on in a language I don't speak and trying to pretend like I understand what they're talking about. It's more like menial things like that. It's not like one big trip or one big project that was really tough to kind of go through. Usually the projects are like okay, but it's more just so the monotony of working and just doing the same thing, or it's even worse is you've done everything and you're trying to look for something else to do, but you can't find it. So you're just sitting there scrolling through your emails and you just have to be there. That boredom is what really, really annoys me. Like,
What about in front of cameras?
Nah, I love that. I honestly like, again, it's more so the when the camera goes on, I love it because you're there to give a performance to the director and you're going to do that no matter what. I think the hardest part is sitting waiting for your turn. Like that's one thing that you don't really realize about movies or TV shows is the amount of waiting that you have to do before your scene is so boring. And you're just full of makeup and you can't move because like your costume's all done properly. You're trying to run through your lines and you're like you're set for 2 hours and you're an hour 20 of like your second day shooting and you're like, fuck me, I just want this to be over. But then as soon as the camera goes on, it's like, okay, this is why I'm here. And you kind of have fun.
Are there moments like when you have to be pumped up for a take or for a scene and then they say like, okay, we'll get back to you. And then you're just waiting. And then say, okay, now it's your turn. Go.
Yeah, but that's okay. I think what is difficult is like, let's say the scene is like you found out that your wife has just had an affair, so you're screaming at her, right? And you have to do that take about 50 times.
Right.
Because things keep going wrong, the link's not right, the actress or even your performance isn't what they want, and it's just trying to keep that like emotion 50 times. Like your voice goes hoarse, like you're just like, fuck, I just want this to be over. I do the easy stuff, to be honest. do it to finance. I mean, yeah, I mean, some of it's fun, but most of it is like the kind of monotonous things.
Yeah. Aidan, it was a big pleasure chatting with you for an extended period of time.
Let's do it again.
Yes.
Very, very fun. We can try and come up with some life updates for the next time we do it. That was fun, man. That was very, very fun.